Hello and welcome to the Be Formless Flow Driven CEO podcast, where we are reshaping life, leadership and business from the inside out. And today I'm welcoming to the show all the way from New York, New York City, one of my favorite cities in the world, Jess Graham. Welcome to the show, Jess.
Thank you. It's so delightful to be chatting with you.
Yeah, we've had quite the chat pre-show. We've talked about dog pajamas. We've talked about your Great Dane. We've to Philo. We've
Right.
talked about Marley Bob. We've shared that we've both got unicorn pajamas. We've had a take two at the start of this record because I forgot what my podcast was called. It's the way, isn't it?
It's early in the morning, man, for you. It's early in the
Yeah,
morning.
well,
So
sort of is. It's 7:30. I should be giving myself a little bit of grace, but and here we are. So how are you? How's your week going?
I am really well. My week has been great. I was with a friend who is recovering from surgery actually this weekend, and she and I are very different. She's a very embodied person, and I struggle with that. And so being with her, helping her recover it was a blessing for me. It was a lot of work. Honestly, I spent
Yeah,
my weekend with a
romantic.
friend, like doing laundry and taking care of a 15-year-old, which is not my norm.
No.
But I love spending time with her 'cause she's so different than me, and I'm one of those people who still believes that diversity makes the world go round, and it's really important, and being with people who are different than you in all kinds of ways just makes you a better person and more interesting, so it's great.
Totally. And I always come away from those sorts of situations, weekends, where you feel a lot more, you just feel fuller, don't you? You're like, when you're completely
Absolutely.
like the yin and the yang, and then you come together and I don't know, you
Absolutely.
just get a whole new, fresh perspective, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I came away really I'm a person who likes to rush, like, I'm a rusher. It's
Yeah.
one of the things that I've always worked on in my life. I think quickly, I make decisions quickly, and that's often a superpower for me, but it as often is not a superpower for me, right? Every superpower you have has this underbelly,
Yeah.
and rushing has an underbelly. It's a pretty significant one. And my friend is a very slow person. So I will eat a meal. You can clock me. I'm the youngest of four. I can eat a meal in about 3 minutes. And she takes an hour. And so we
Uh,
sit at the table and have a long conversation. And, it makes me a better person. I grew up on the East Coast, and the East Coast in the US has a certain reputation, right? Like, we're a bit more A type people, we're a bit more high strong, right? And
I
5
love
days
it.
after you do, you love
Yeah,
the energy of
that's
the
why I
New
love coming
Yorker.
to New York, because I'm like, everyone's just on a mission
It's
and
great.
you're on a
It's
mission.
great. It's
Mm,
great. That energy, I feed off it. I'm a city
same.
person, so I really do feed off that. But San Francisco, in comparison, where I spent most of my adult life, was like mellow. And I knew that being in San Francisco would be helpful for me, that like being in an environment where people took, nature seriously, took being outdoors seriously, took work seriously, play seriously, were so innovative and were sort of quirky and different and had that sort of manifest destiny bohemian thing still going in the culture, that would make me a better, more interesting person. Just literally where I lived would, I think, help correct some of my bad habits.
And do you
So
think
I did
it
okay. I did okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm a type A personality. I've always, I'm teaching myself how to be present more and more
Yeah.
these days, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that I
So
had
is
some sur
barley.
sur yeah, and like, totally, and I had some surgery myself at the end of last week. I'm totally fine. I just am listening more and more and
Yeah.
just cancelled a few things this week because I just have not felt
Yeah.
up to it, which is
Yeah.
not like me. Generally, you'd force through.
Totally. Totally.
And even
Totally.
there's a whole thing called rushing women. You would of course know this, rushing women's syndrome. Like,
Yeah.
it's like a thing, and
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
real.
yeah,
We have
it's
too much
real.
on our plates usually, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I thought about this woman that I was visiting, right? The reason I was there in part was because her husband tore his Achilles. So, like, literally, there's no one able bodied in the house. And I definitely don't count a 15-year-old as able bodied in any way, right? So, like, sort of both of them are kind of down a little bit. And even carrying the laundry basket is challenging when you've had
Yeah,
surgery. And, like, even that little bit was really,
yeah. Like I said, it's such a good perspective. Well, let's
yeah,
get into it. I'm really looking forward to this conversation, and we met
me
quite a few
too.
weeks ago, and we were both just laughing before because so much has transpired even since we last
Yeah.
spoke,
Yeah.
and I'm keen to get
It
all
has changed.
your points of view, your thoughts,
Yeah.
and also share my own thoughts as well.
Awesome.
You are well, you're discovery and delivery in agentic, and you're the
Yeah.
founder of Banquet. And quite interesting, you were talking about just like food and all that before. And so I
Mhm.
do want to ask you how the name Banquet came about. You're
Yeah.
also I'll preface before we go into like everything about you. You're currently creating an AI safety doco also. So I'll let you talk about
Yeah.
that too, because I think it will be a hot topic for all the listeners here today. And you work at the edge of what's coming next in commerce. Brands are no longer discovered, but decided for. And I think that's really interesting. Again, I'll let you explain more about that. I do think for all the listeners out there, if you have your own business, you work in business, brand, it's another
Mhm.
evolution that we're going through right now. And so what does that look like? Your
Mhm.
background spans Visa, Meta, Instagram, and high growth startups. And you spent over a decade watching how money, attention, and decision making shift from visible to invisible, from human led to algorithmic. I can never say it.
So hard.
Algorithmically optimized. Sarah had to say that quite loud, didn't I then? Today, you focus on agentic commerce, a world where AI agents make choices on behalf of consumers. I'm going to repeat that. A world where AI agents make choices on behalf of consumers. It's kind of scary, fascinating, intriguing, all the feels. And often
Totally.
without the brand ever being seen. And we were just talking about identity as well before. Through your consultancy Banquet, you also have a writing platform, and I've just signed up for it. I suggest everyone listening also subscribe to Substack to read The Feast. It's really interesting. And you were talking about, I think, cognitive neuroscience in one of your last articles back in February, and I was like, oh, I was reading all about that. You challenge the dominant narratives in marketing, questioning performance driven models, rethink the role of friction, and exploring what happens when discovery itself is optimized away. And I guess for me, your perspective is intentionally anti hype, and you look at what is being lost, not just what is being gained, asking the harder questions, which I think we all need to be right now in terms of
Absolutely.
what is brand equity, human choice, and the future of connection in a machine led economy. Tell us, you can start wherever you
Yeah.
start, Jess, because you've got it's like you're creative, you're a savvy businesswoman, you've got it all going on.
Can we start with the name of my company? Because I
And
love it so much and I never get to talk about it.
yeah, I love asking this question. It's always fascinating. It gives me great insight into the person I'm talking to.
So I quit my day job, and I struggled for like 3 years to figure out what I was going to do. And it's only been in the last 6 to 9 months that I landed on this platform and sort of saw this opportunity to talk about agentic commerce in a way that nobody else was talking about it. Everybody else is out there talking about how you need to be seen by the bots and the data. But the reason why Feast came up, and the reason why I love the brand is I created the brand long ago, at like 3 years ago, before I landed on this platform. And the idea behind the brand was I fundamentally believe that life is to be enjoyed and that life should be a banquet. And
That's right.
I'm a social person, I'm a social animal, I'm a bit of a hedonist. I like gathering community around me. I like the active service of eating or cooking for people, all that stuff. It just sort of fit my personality. And I had this amazing designer at TWA, the Working Assembly in New York, design me this beautiful brand that was sort of built on Dutch still lives, which are famously mostly women painters because women otherwise weren't allowed to paint male figures. So that we
Mm,
did these beautiful banquet like paintings, these rich oil paintings of fruit and beautiful
yeah,
flowers and bees and all this stuff, right? Just to spend hours in front of and discover every little nugget and corner
I
of,
love
right?
it.
So I had all this beautiful imagery and I started landing on this platform, right? I left tech and I sort of wanted to stay out of tech. And what I realized, I sort of had an unintentional tech career. And I was in this company town of San Francisco, which you don't really, when you're in a company town, you don't realize you're in a company town and how much of San Francisco is about tech. So I thought, okay, well, I'll leave physically and I'll go into New York and I'll have a sort of different career. I'll use those skills in tech and do something different. Well, what I discovered is that everything has become tech.
Yeah,
Like
so
everything has become tech, right? Like, and even companies that aren't tech are certainly leveraging tech, but they're leveraging tech models, right? Tech speed, tech investment models, tech, the way tech manages its investors. Like it really has changed the dynamics of our global marketplace and our global economies, like completely, right? Like there's no company that doesn't have a pretty serious tech core. Like I'm sure I could find some. Hermes might be one, but like
Yeah.
there aren't very many, right?
No, 100%.
And so I had this beautiful brand and I started writing this platform about how all that sort of beauty is kind of going away. We're optimizing it away. We're so obsessively removing friction from everything, which is what you do in tech. Like friction is enemy number one. You want to completely demolish any barriers between the person who has a need, which you've either constructed for them or they have naturally, and your purchase, right? And everything that makes a person stop to even think for a second, right? Is
Taken away.
it's taken away. So I don't know whether we lack confidence in the products that we're buying, that we feel like we have to literally shoot people through this funnel to get to the end, but that's sort of what we've constructed. And so the way I changed my brand 6 months ago was I started adding these elements of the algorithm, like eating the banquet, right? And so that's like my new visual identity, and I'm kind of in love with it for all the reasons.
Like,
It's like just
I
a
love
total stupid
it.
brand geek, like fun creative direction. I'm like, okay, the algorithm's going to eat all the stuff that I'm doing. So the header and everything is like the brand, and then the brand being distorted by the noise.
And is it going to keep eating it? Like, is your brand identity going to keep evolving, or are you like? Because
Yeah,
it's really
I'm
interesting.
yeah, totally. So I'm giving a talk in
Okay.
a couple of months, and literally the design of the deck is that it like disintegrates by the
Oh,
end.
how good.
Yeah, cool. It's fun. It's
Yes.
fun to play with. I don't get to do a lot of visual stuff anymore because most of my stuff is kind of heady and strategy wonky kind of stuff, but I love the visual stuff. I'm a very aesthetic person, and yeah, it's been fun to work at least on my own brand, even if I don't get to do big
Yeah.
campaigns for others anymore.
And it works so nicely, doesn't it?
Yeah, I
Really, in
love it.
terms of it all connects together. It snaps to the
And it
story.
connects to me, and it connects to
That's what I
me
was about
really
to say.
personally.
Like, it's that lived experience. And that's what I find when I ask these questions with everyone I'm talking to. It comes back to identity, and even everything you're talking
Yes.
about here,
Yes.
where, friction's being taken away, human
Yes.
choice being taken away.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're not careful, I am curious and keen to hear about your doco that you're creating on AI
Yeah.
safety, because if we're not careful, we're going to all lose our identity and our authenticity and who we are. And I don't
Yeah.
know, you and I were talking about it, and maybe it's our age. We're young, we're not old. It's certainly not
No,
old.
no, but wise.
I want to have choices. I like making choices. I
Of
don't
course.
want to, I think more and more I'm getting more, like I said to you pre-show, I'm getting more like, no, I'm making this choice.
Discerning.
You're not,
Discerning.
yeah, discerning. You're not making this choice for me. I'm not anti AI at all. I'm just also, though, it's making me come back to who I am more and more. Mm.
Yeah, and it might do that. I hope it does that for more of us rather than less of us. The doc is really interesting. So when I was in my 20s, I worked at a consulting firm, and the woman who ran the firm had this really smart husband, and she used to invite us over for dinner, and we would chit chat around her dinner table. And her husband was the head of computer science at Berkeley, and he was talking about this thing called AI, and this would have been the late 90s. And when Stuart opened his mouth, it was just like the Peanuts parents talking. It was like, "Wah, wah, 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 wah." Like, I mean, it was just talking way above my head about stuff that I could not conceive of happening in my lifetime, right? And he was
Yeah.
talking about the things that are happening today. Like he
Mm.
was talking about AI. He wrote the textbook on AI and how to actually create AI. And so he spun up a nonprofit last year called the International Association for Safe and Ethical AI. It's an amazing organization that wants to help bring researchers together to help solve some really challenging issues around this technology related to like keeping us safe physically and mentally, and ethics around bias and things like that. And it was sort of interesting that sort of this full circle moment I had with this old boss and mentor and just wonderful woman, Loy Sheflot, was in New York and said, my husband needs help planning this conference. So I started helping. And as I got into the safety community, what I realized is there weren't very many women. right? It's mostly men, it's mostly academics, it's mostly computer scientists. And, you know, women start movements. And what was clear to me as I had conversations about these concerns that scientists had about AI was that there wasn't much literacy in the general public about what we should be thinking about, right? And I think we'd be a lot better off if people had asked bigger questions when social
Mm,
media came online. And so the intent behind the doc is to try and help people understand the decisions that they make around this technology is much more meaningful than it's ever been before. So, for
mhm.
example, there's a woman, Ming, who is one of our main characters in the doc, and Ming is blind, legally blind. She's become legally blind recently. She has two daughters, and she uses Meta glasses, and they are have been life changing and life saving for her, literally.
Yeah.
But it also means that every single conversation she has with her husband, every bath time with her young children, every bank statement she reads, Meta gets all of that data.
Yeah.
So it's amazing for her, but you have to have a lot of trust in companies that, frankly, having been inside that one in particular, aren't,
Yeah, I was about to say.
like I would have a lot of, I would struggle with using Meta glasses.
Mm,
So that's what the doc is meant to do. It's meant to bring new people into the conversation about safety and ethics specifically. And honestly, really specifically, it's kind of targeted at women because we're so left out of the conversation. And as we know from social media, many women are sort of left trying to pick up the pieces, especially with children, when
yeah.
children are exposed and are at risk. So so I'm really proud of the work that we're doing, and I hope we're looking for funding if anybody out there has $1 million that they're interested
Oh, I
in.
can talk to you separately. I'll talk to you separately about that. If I can connect you with a few.
Amazing,
We'll have a
amazing.
separate conversation.
Yeah.
Tell me
So that's the
Tell me,
doc.
like I've been having this broader conversation a lot. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of people in VC.
Yeah.
A lot of I've been meeting a lot of women that have come out of corporate.
Mhm.
Founders, then become
Mhm.
founder entrepreneurs. And it's fascinating, right? It's been like, you talk about patterns and the meaning and then understanding the meaning behind it. And, I feel
Yeah.
like I'm a bit of a human LLM in my own way in terms of observing all these various, like, all the research I've been doing and conversations
Mhm.
I've been having on
Mhm.
the podcast.
Mhm.
There's such a fundamental gap still with women in business, women, I hate using this term and I will though, at the table, sitting at the table and the gaps. And then you think
Yeah.
about the younger, and I've got three nieces. You talked about
Mhm.
the 15-year-old over the weekend. I've got two 15-year-old nieces. I
Ah,
have a 17-year-old niece, fascinating.
ah.
Right? Like they're so different to us when we were their age, I think anyway.
Absolutely.
I see them on their screens all the time
Mm,
and, we come back
mm,
to choices. And I guess where I'm
mm.
going with this conversation is we've got a long way to go still to have women and equality in business, like the drop
Right.
between female founders, entrepreneurs versus males,
Yeah.
etc. And even
Yeah.
back in corporate.
Funding, all the things. Yeah.
Funding is huge. And so
Yeah.
it's really interesting you're talking about this doco and even, from a younger age.
Mhm.
They're the women of the younger age, they're the ones that, we need to really have that they need to be really clear on, the safety and ethics of this,
Absolutely.
how to put
Absolutely.
us as women forward.
I mean, we did some called man on the street interviews,
I
and
love that.
but
Yeah.
with women in India because the safety summit this year was in India, and we went and did some filming, and frankly, it's devastating, especially in India, because every woman we talked to on the street was like, I have had to erase every photo of me on the internet. I don't post photos of myself on the internet. There's a lot of fear, at least of the women that we talked to in India and filmed, because photos can be manipulated so easily. And it's a
Yeah.
fairly, and when you add religion and culture and all that stuff to it, right? It's a very scary place to be. I mean, for me, the most disappointing thing about what's happening in AI is that we have this amazing technology and not nearly enough people are out solving the healthcare problem or curing cancer. Instead, we've got, you know can I cuss, assholes
Yeah.
fucking assholes
Yeah, you can swear
making
totally. Whatever goes on this platform, and if people aren't happy about it, don't listen to it. Sorry, like, that's
um
my point.
like sitting and creating weapons against women. I mean, nude apps cannot be classified as anything other than a weapon
Yeah.
specifically designed to attack women. I mean, what other like there's no business need for that,
No,
like that
no.
I'm aware of, right? It's for humiliation. So I don't know, it's really interesting. Like I think about tech a lot because I worked in it and I'm obviously in it now. And one of the things that frustrates me about tech is that I think sort of has to do with this discovery thing too, and kids also, is tech is really good at binaries, right? Like, and LLMs are really good at binaries because it's literally zeros and ones. Like, how are we creating a society that's so reliant on a language that is so limited?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's all binary. And then so we've got this binary thing that we've got from social media of like polarizing us and like pulling us apart in a really horrible way. And then agentic commerce comes and flattens everything, right? Like pushes everything into the middle. Everything becomes really beige
Yeah.
because everybody's going to the same answers, right? It's a really, we're in this very interesting time where I think tech has really pulled us apart and now it's really going to make us beige. And the reason why I think it's going to make us beige, and it's sort of interesting, the kid part of it, because, um, you know, think about, um, think about how you develop taste, like as a kid, right? Or as a person, that is like a process of almost exclusively physical exploration.
Well, it's
Like for
beginner's mindset for me. I call it beginner's mindset. It's like, when you first, like, you're a little kid, you see that something for the first time, or like we've got puppies or dogs, and they're looking at
yes,
something and they're like, Marley Bob looks at little insects and he like gets so excited. And I'm like, that
totally,
is so cute because he's never seen it before.
totally,
He's like, Mum, what's
totally,
that? No?
totally. And then Marley Bob decides he either likes that bug and that's fun to play with, or the bug bites him and he's
Or
like,
scares
never
you.
again.
Yeah.
But it's like this learning process, and that is how you develop taste. It's how you decide what you like. It's not an academic exercise, right? And if we are in a situation, and usually taste is very sensorial. I think that's a word. It
That is,
involves your
listen,
senses,
you
right?
feel it.
Sensorial,
Yeah.
right? And and that experience is totally flattened because we're constantly getting served up things, so recommended things. But the serendipity part, the surprise, the kismet, the like, oh, I just happened to see this thing and I absolutely fell in love, and it's now my new favorite brand for jackets or rainwear or boots or whatever. That that is going away. And so when I look at honestly, when I look at Gen Z and I look at what they wear, and I'm like, what are you wearing? I'm like, oh, I'm like, it's already happening.
Yes, can I tell you something so funny? This is such a great, such a great conversation. So I was out last weekend and I pulled on this old dress I have had for years. It's an Alice McCall number. I don't know if you know that. It's
Yes,
an
yes, love, yes,
Australian.
love, yeah.
Yeah, I bought, and I actually had some blue tights, these great, like, bright blue tights I got from New York
Amazing.
years ago that
Amazing.
I still wear, and I bought all these, like, shiny silver shoes, and I had these glasses on, right? I'm not joking, we're at this, like, restaurant, pub thing, and we all a group of us girls were in the back room having our late lunch, and then we went out into the bar area,
Yeah.
and I had all these Gen Zers coming up to me all night going, "Oh my God, look at your outfit. Look at
Right.
you. If I could look
Yeah.
like you." And I'm thinking, what is going on here? I'm like 20 years older than you. This is hilarious. Comes back
It's
to this beige
awesome.
piece because I can never
Oh,
see, you know,
can we just pause to say you also clearly have good style and taste? So
oh, thank you.
there is
Yeah, thank
that
you for that.
also. There
Yeah,
is
thank
that
you.
also.
It was pretty funny though. I was thinking they were just in awe. And I'm like, because I had some color on and I had a personality and I had, like, I was just doing my thing. I just put it together within 5 seconds. I was like, oh yeah, that
Right.
dress, these tights, those shoes, bang, off I go.
Right. But I think they just are like picking things off I mean, there's no rhyme or reason that I can see. Like I mean, and that may be fine. That may be the new thing. That may be whatever. But I think part of it might be that like they're not going to the mall. Like, I mean, not like I love mall culture, but like that's how I discovered what I liked, at least
Yeah.
initially. I mean, that
Yeah.
completely changed, right? Because then I learned it again in San Francisco, what I liked and who I was. And then I
Yeah.
learned a different version of myself in New York, and right, and because I had to wear sweaters again and
Yeah.
boots. And so, like, it is really interesting what we're doing to the human experience with all this tech. It really is it is eating the
So
banquet.
tell us a little bit about it. Can you explain simply for listeners and what agentic commerce is,
Mm,
and then the impact it's
sure.
having on brand
Sure.
equity? I think
Sure.
we said brand equity. What else did we? There was quite a few things we talked about. What the impact is having on brand equity, human choice, and the
Yeah.
future of connection, because we're in a machine led economy. You know, the way the
Yep.
economy is right now is going to be revolutionized even in the next 12 to
Totally.
24 months, for example. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
So, agentic commerce is the idea that agents in your LLM an agent is something that's acting on your behalf through an LLM. So, you've given it a prompt, you've asked it to go do something, and it's out in the internet acting on your behalf. And generally speaking, right now, that what it does is bring you back words,
Yeah.
right? It brings you back ideas, it brings you back words. But the rails are being built and in fact are already built to enable those agents to make purchasing decisions for you, right? So imagine you had a smart fridge at home and that smart fridge was able to tell you that you were almost out of milk, right? Rather than writing it on a screen perhaps, or showing it on the screen that you're almost out of milk, or sending you an email or whatever, it could be connected to the internet. It could have an agent actually in it, and it could send the agent out to buy milk. And
Yeah.
so that, right, and that milk would come to you, and over time those kinds of drudgeries could be removed. But I think what's interesting is, you know, when you think about grocery shopping in particular, a lot of people think of grocery shopping as drudgery. And I often think of grocery shopping as drudgery. But there are times when grocery shopping is absolutely not drudgery. There are
No.
times when I'm throwing a dinner party and I want to go to
Oh,
the
jeez.
flower market and I want to go to the butcher, and maybe I want to go to Whole Foods for something, or I want to go to the purveyors. I want to provision for myself. I want to touch, I want to feel, I want to smell the tomato to make sure it tastes like something and not just like water, right? It's that sensorial thing again. And if we enable and set up our economy, right? Because it's not just about enablement, and it's not just a it's like what becomes the norm becomes the reality for people, right? So ultimately what will happen is Instacart or Walmart and Amazon will be the surfaces through which 80 to 90% of our our goods come. But that shopping experience is not what I would call rich in
No.
any way, right? Like you don't go to Walmart and get excited about something, like for a bunch of reasons, right? Same with Amazon, sort of notoriously poorly designed in some ways.
Yeah.
Um, so those are the kinds of things that it removes from the human experience. And then from a brand's perspective, what's challenging is, you know, brands have had to do a lot of work for the last couple hundred years. Nah, probably that's an exaggeration. Last 100 years, trying to get people to understand their name, who they are, what they do,
Say
what they
yeah.
taste like, right? So much money has been spent creating awareness and then getting people to the actual checkout and all the things, right? So imagine all of those touch points, whether they're advertising campaigns or stickers on the shelf in the grocery store. Imagine if you don't have any of those interactions with a human, a consumer anymore as a brand. You're and going out for milk. So imagine imagine not having those experiences anymore, and instead you say, I need a whitening toothpaste. Just get me the best whitening toothpaste, Claude. And maybe Claude in the background knows that I don't like to spend a lot of money. I like natural products, right? It has a bunch of preferences built in. So it's going to come back with something that I'll probably like. But when the box arrives, I have no idea what Marvis
Okay.
toothpaste is,
Yeah.
right? Like it showed up because I know I asked for whitening toothpaste, but I have no visibility into
Of
the
what the
other
brand
things that were considered or why this one was chosen. And I have no relationship with Marvis. like Marvis's job in that packaging becomes really, really important, right? Like I have to tell my whole story somehow in this attention economy on a package, on a box, on a, so brands have to think about how that relationship is going to develop very, very differently.
Yeah.
And they
I
have to think,
yeah.
yeah,
No, no, no. I was about to say to you, it's fascinating because my background, as you know, is advertising and communications, and I'm
yeah,
seeing a whole different model. I think we spoke about this briefly last time. I'm seeing a whole different model in that in itself as well, in terms of
absolutely.
it's all shifting. You know,
Yep,
it's
yep,
completely being
yep, yep.
revolutionized, and it's quite scary to think that what you're just talking about there is like it's almost like, well, it's coming back to this beige piece. Everything could become quite beige if we
Well,
don't get start thinking and being strategic about what we're doing as a brand or
correct.
as a business now. Because guess what? It's here and it's happening, and
Absolutely.
it's happening at a rate of knots, like it really is, right?
It is happening now. I think it's real. I think people think that it's happening later, but it is very much happening now. And anybody who's worked in a company and worked at a brand, worked for brands, understands how long things can take, right? To get from idea, to sell up the chain and then get the things done. I mean, and some of the stuff is like basic blocking and tackling that brands haven't had to do for years because they've been so focused on acquisition. So things like life cycle programs and loyalty programs and, and leveraging data in different ways. It's not necessarily like the death of brands, but I think brands definitely have to be thinking about how they show up a lot differently. And I don't think most people are thinking about that. Instead, they're really embracing the newest tech and the bright shiny object, which is agentic commerce, and making sure that all of their, products can show up in the table and be seen and be visible, which is important. But I think there's a double-edged sword there. Just like we were saying, every superpower has an underbelly. I think this is the underbelly of
Yeah.
agentic commerce. Is it's going to lead to a lot of commoditization, because brands won't be able to afford differentiation. So think about it this way: if you think about what Amazon does with retailers, I mean, Amazon, the sort of the tax to participate in Amazon, to have your brand on Amazon, you have to pay 40% in margin. 40%, right? That's that's, advertising pay to play. That's all kinds of stuff. That's a lot of margin. So, you talk about the advertising industry, like their margins have been eaten by these platforms for years,
Um,
right?
yeah. Oh, God, yeah, I know
So,
from my own
no,
experience.
right, right. And then everybody in the industry goes to Cannes to all their parties, and you're like, these
I've
people are
been to
eating your
those. I've been
lunch.
to a couple of
I hope
those.
you enjoy that.
It's another world. It was another world. I can't imagine what it'd be like now. I went 10 years ago or whatever. It
Yeah,
was, yeah, it
yeah.
was wild times.
Scene. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell me then, what do you see as I guess, the optimal, not optimized,
Mm,
what is the
mm.
optimal, I guess, resolution to all of this? Like, how is this going to play out? Like, we're like you say, we're at this double-edged sword.
Yeah,
We've got beige here. Like everything is kind of moving into this beige. Friction's being taken out.
yeah,
And then we've got these people like yourself, myself, that are like, obviously I'm not in agentic commerce as
yeah,
such, but
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
really pushing human first in
Yes,
everything I'm
yes,
doing, and,
yes.
in business and life and everything in general. And I just really do think that, yeah, it's great with all this tech and all these, like you say, shiny new toys, shiny new objects.
Uh-huh.
Let's not forget who we are. Let's not forget that, that identity is key here.
Yeah.
What is the happy, well, maybe it's a happy medium. What does it look like for you? Like
I mean, so the way I mean, I think tech can be great in terms of making things more efficient. I mean, tech can be amazing, but I think that hopefully as a society, as people who vote, as people who, hopefully have some influence on the world that we live in. I think awareness is really important because all of us are as individuals are making choices without really understanding, right? Like, I mean, I think about how people use Claude. And I think people, when they start using Claude, can sometimes be a bit surprised, or any LLM. I personally use Claude, but any LLM are a little surprised at sort of the disconnect between like where their thinking starts and where the LLM's thinking begins, right? That sort of blend thing
Yeah.
of cognition that we're doing that's really uncomfortable and crazy, right? Um, I think, for me, figuring out how to get that's why the doc is so sort of personally important to me. It's like it like having people really understand the implications and not walk so blindly into the behaviors as we did with social media, and just to be a little bit more discerning, right? Like discerning, and think about the fact that we now know that tech is good and tech is bad.
Yes.
And both things are true.
Yeah,
And
that's a good response.
we can't pretend that every tech company is making the right decisions for us as humans. They're
No.
making the right decisions for them as capitalist organizations with
Yeah.
stakeholders that want to get paid.
Yeah. It feels like what you're saying to me is we like, let's choose consciously what we're doing in
Yes.
terms of like bring that conscious choice back
Yes.
into play.
Yes.
Yeah. I listened to a
Yes.
podcast the other day, and I won't name the name, and they were talking around, just handing everything over to like the Claudes of the world, and just
Mhm.
like, and I thought about it for a split second, like just hand it all over, Belinda, just give your soul away. And then all of a sudden something in me was just like, don't give it all, don't give all your soul to it. Like, there's elements that
What's
you should keep true to you,
Yes.
absolutely, from an efficiency perspective. And I think you're right. I think that there needs to be heaps more education, especially for the younger ones too. Like
Yes.
we've got this big ban in Australia that you're probably aware of in terms.
Like, congratulations.
Well,
That's
they're all
amazing.
getting into, they're all still accessing, a lot of them are still accessing it,
I mean, the effort, I mean, it may or may not work, but I applaud the fact that you were able to do it. I mean, I wish we could get our acts together on a bunch of stuff,
yeah,
including that. So.
it is fascinating. It is fascinating. And so then for
Mm,
me, like, do you see, like, from a business perspective and leaders, what role, what are leaders? Let's come to leaders. And I am conscious of your time as well,
yeah.
because we've had
I'm having so much fun.
quite the conversation. What role do leaders play in this then as well? Like, I mean, obviously that would be part of a big discussion you're no doubt having, and
Yeah.
probably forms part of the doco as well. Like, what
Yeah. Yeah.
role, and in particular, women leaders in this
Yeah.
instance, like,
Yeah.
what sort of role do they have to play in this?
It's interesting. I'm not in a company right now because I'm doing, I have my own
Okay.
business. But my friends who are in companies, obviously, I know of some of them. And the sort of main theme that I'm hearing, I'm curious if you're hearing the same thing, B, but the thing that I'm hearing from everybody is like nobody can get their leadership to make a decision about anything. And nobody who is a leader feels empowered to make a decision about anything because things are changing so fast.
Yeah.
You don't know where to put the bets and you don't want to screw up. And I think, add to that the pressure of a K recovery, add to that the pressure of like, is anyone going to have a job in 6 months, 12 months, whatever, the doomsayers are saying at the moment. And, I think that creates a lot of fear. And that's really sad because fear creates paralysis. Fear, you generally don't make, the best decisions when you're fearful, right? And neither do organizations. Organizations are made up of humans. And when you're scared, you don't make great decisions. And
Yeah.
so I don't have a solution for it, but I do think leaders need to step up and start addressing some of these safety and ethics questions. And frankly, the ethics questions come up, and I don't think people think about them at all. Like I've been in a lot of rooms talking about AI, and there are a lot of people who stand up and are surprised that LLMs are biased, for example, or that they could demonstrate bias. Well, of course they can demonstrate bias. They were built by
100%.
humans,
So it's like
right?
also when
Like,
they hallucinate, they're biased
right.
when they're
I mean,
hallucinating at you, having
right.
attacking you. I've had them attack me before, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Calm your
I mean,
farm!" Like,
all the things, but like I mean, so there's this amazing woman. Her name is Julie Angwin. She is brilliant, brilliant writer, researcher, brilliant woman. And she did a presentation at this Paris conference I helped organize. And my favorite line from it, she'd done a bunch of research about whether or not LLMs were delivering accurate information about US elections specifically right after the last one. And what she found was that they weren't, and that they, for the most part, got it about 60 to 70% right. And she was like, you know what? If you're going to call yourself intelligence, you should probably get better than a passing grade, you know?
Yeah,
And
totally.
I think that's really true. We see it as some sort of authority. We see it as smarter than us, better than us, you know, an authority. And I think we almost see it. I think there are some people who think of Claude as a leader, right? Like Claude or your LLM, sorry. It's like saying
No, I know.
Kleenex these days.
Claude's the big one at the moment. Everyone's talking about Claude, even though Claude's
Right,
been around like for just as long as ChatGPT.
right. But the idea that like, you know, there is a lot when we talk about choice, it's also what we're giving up is our own sovereignty, right? Like, and that I find really interesting. And I think leaders are doing it too. Like
I agree.
leaders are, right?
It's
And I
it's
think that's
universal.
very dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. It's totally universal. Everything you're talking about is happening here as well from a leader. I think everyone's kind of like in that fight or flight mode or freeze mode, if you like. And
Absolutely.
it's you can argue procrastination is, when you freeze. I think procrastination is also when my view is that you also just don't know which way to turn or which way to go.
Yeah.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing. And I think this is where human choice comes back in, as leaders, excuse me. And this is where I feel like, women and then men also, like,
Mm,
dialing into our intuition.
mm,
You talked at
mm.
the very start of this conversation
Yes.
around
Yes.
embodiment.
Yes.
Excuse me. I think that when we're connected back within ourselves and really clear within here, the decisions that we need to make, they come to us intuitively. And it's like you can have all the patterns, all the data, and you
Mm-hmm.
use the word
Mm-hmm.
knowing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, stop. Let's just look at everything, assess everything. What does this all mean? And
Yes.
let's make the next informed decision to go forward, one step in front of the next. And I think that
Yeah.
at the moment, we're getting caught up in this, complexity, if you like, the
Mm-hmm.
complexity of everything and, like, we've got to be doing
Mm-hmm.
everything. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
let's just slow it right down for a second
And the
because
keeping up thing,
yeah,
right? Like we're all like, am I up on the latest thing? Am I using the right tool? Is there some sort of capability that somebody else is using that I'm not using? I mean, it's like we're all crazy right now. We're all insane right
it's
now. It's
wild. Like
dumb.
you said to me at
Dumb.
the start, I said to you, it's really hard to keep up. You said, don't even try. And it's true.
Oh,
We knew this year was going to be like that. It's happening. And I'm just surrendering a little bit to, okay, I actually cannot keep up, doing the best I can. And, I was speaking to
and then
someone today and they were saying to me, I'm all in on AI. It's, I just can't keep up. And I said, here's the thing. It's an efficiency tool. It's also though creating, we're in the biggest, deepest learning curve we've probably ever been in
right.
forever.
That's
And
right.
so as efficient
That's
as
right.
it's becoming, you're going down all these different rabbit holes. And so you're
That's
getting more
right.
and more
That's right.
consumed by it.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Like, I mean, I had a friend describe it as like, you know, like having way too much caffeine and like staying up at three till 3 in the morning, like, you
It's
know, like
like that.
coding. I'm like, we've all become that person in our basements. I don't, I, it's really, I mean, I think honestly, what part of what that comes down to be is like, we're all tired.
Oh,
We're all a little tired. And
yeah.
all of this tech was supposed to, which that has been the promise of tech since, you know, since dishwashers and microwaves and everything else, right? Like the tech is going to take away the drudgery, the tech is going to take away the work. I feel like 100 years later, we should just acknowledge that that is not the progression, right? Like that is not at
No,
all the progression.
no.
And it just adds more complexity and more work, but maybe different work and
Which
different for
ethically,
different people.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And
Nobody's getting more free time out of this, which
no,
is
and
again what it should be doing in theory.
totally right. And no one is, you're right, everyone is really tired. And then it comes back to like very right back to ethics in terms of what is right for me right now? Like what is right
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
society? What is right for the
Yeah.
planet? What is right
Yeah.
everything.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if we're running and operating all like this,
Yes.
we're all gonna
What's the
"What?
point of it all?
What's the point?"
Stop.
I had that
Stop. Join the banquet. Look at the
join
picture.
the banquet.
Stand in front of the beautiful painting and like discover the things that are around you. Like look at the things that are around you. That is what life is. Life is not on
100%.
your screen. It's not on your keyboard. It is not there.
No. And, I basically when I went and saw the Magic Faraway tree over the weekend, and I was
That's
sitting in their
amazing.
cinema, and I had this guilt, and yet then all of a sudden I was like, "No, this is what I'm meant to be doing on a Sunday. I'm not working."
Yes,
Do you know
yes,
what I mean?
yes, yes, yes. And I think like, I mean, I think about my first job, I had a pager and then I had a cell phone. And then and it's like, I used to call it my leash, right? Like it was like, oh, this is my leash to work. And now it's like, I mean, and as CEOs, like
No,
there's only the boundary you create, right?
I
Like
agree.
you only have yourself to blame.
I agree. So tell me
Yeah.
what would be your I'm not gonna ask for advice for words of wisdom. What would you like to share with the listeners as as a close for our conversation? We've had quite the chat. We've talked I mean, the banquet piece you
Mm.
just shared then.
Yeah. I mean, I would say lean into the lean into the edges where AI like comes into your living, right? Like think about the way AI changes how you live, not how you think necessarily. Um, it's just going to make you smarter, hopefully. And there are some cognitive sovereignty issues there, but like think about the edges where it meets the things that you love, the things that make life worth living, the things that make your life rich, the things that you want to stand in front of and enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think those are the places where you should have the most hesitancy about leaning in to optimize that experience.
Yeah. It's good. It's good for consideration. It's everyone
Yeah.
needs to stop, pause, and think about it. We all
Yeah.
have a choice at the end of the day.
We do. We really do. And I think we all need to feel that empowerment. Otherwise, it's going to happen around us and it's going to happen to us.
Yeah.
And I personally, you were asking about women and sort of like our role in this. And I mean, honestly, I've seen some some posts about the fact that women are embracing it less and adopting it less and everything else. And one of the things that I think about is like the reality of discernment. We've said that word a couple of times in relation to taste, in relation to choice and everything else. And I think, people need to be really, really discerning. This is a moment in which to be really discerning about how to bring it into your life, how to bring it into your family, how to bring it into your relationships, how to bring it into your mental health, how to bring it into your work, how to bring it into all that stuff.
Yeah, I think I love the word discerning, and I think also, it's a moment to be more soulful, more conscious as well, and more
Yeah.
human than
Yeah.
ever. Like this is we're being asked to be more human than we've ever been asked, because if we don't,
Yes.
you know, we're,
Yes.
we're going to become, dare I say
Maybe,
it, robots.
maybe
We're going to become
and
robots.
maybe we
Like,
will learn what it is to be human and
yeah,
what we're meant to be doing.
totally.
So,
Yeah, yeah. I've
yeah.
had what a great conversation.
Yeah, it's so fun, V. I hope we get
Yes.
to meet in person one
Yeah,
day.
me too. I feel this calling to the US this year, and I've got it on like one of my visual manifestation
Awesome.
boards, like, and it's there,
Awesome.
and it's been there since last year. It's like get me back over there.
Well,
I do love it.
I'll see you.
Jess, when is your doco? Like, when's that going to be ready?
So we are in the process of fundraising. We have about 20% filmed. We have a lot of really cool names associated with the like people who are luminaries that you'd recognize from the being the godfathers of AI and all that jazz as people to come in and add expertise to the more human stories that we're focusing on. So we've got about 20% filmed and we're looking for money and hopefully
Okay.
we'll finish it up in time for the award season submissions. That's
Yeah,
our goal.
amazing. Okay, we'll look out for it, and we'll talk about that
Awesome.
funding piece. And then, how do we find out
Fantastic.
more about Banquet? How do we find out? I mentioned Feast. I'll share it all in the
Yeah.
notes with regards to
Yeah.
Substack. Yeah.
Yeah. You can check out Banquet at Feast with Banquet. I'm Jess at feastwithbanquet.com. I'd love feedback. So
Yeah,
new friends and feedback I'm really into.
and yeah, take some time, everybody, to just observe the painting, the picture, your
That's right.
branding. Yeah, it's a great story. Jess, thank
I
you
love it.
so much for your time. Yeah, what a great conversation,
Ah,
and
so
yeah,
nice to
it's
meet
been
you.
lots of learnings and insightful more than ever for the audience as well and the listeners. So thank you so
Awesome.
much, and have
Awesome.
a wonderful evening. Thank you.
A pleasure. Have a great day.
Thank you.